So we've been dying for more information on the Vanquish Ripper 2 project, and I've seen enough leaks now that I feel really confident I can make a prediction of what the next Vanquish Ripper will be. So, but before I get to all that, welcome back. My name is John. This is my channel, The Origin Factory. It's October 13th, 2024, Sunday. And first of all, I want to thank all our subscribers. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed yet and you're willing to do so, it'd be greatly appreciated. If you've subscribed already, if you could continue to support us by either like, commenting, and sharing. You can also find us under the Origin Factory on Facebook and Instagram. So, this week, meaning the week before, on Tuesday, Vanquish does their weekly live stream, which they've been doing for quite a while now. And this week it was Brandon and Josh, and they've been doing a build off together with VS410 builder's kit. And this week they were offering, I think as a discount code, was for a VRD straight axle and a stubby kit. So discount code, I don't know because, well, we'll get to that in a minute. But anyways, so they were talking about that kind of stuff. And Brandon got up and left his chair. And you could see on the floor that there was a rig on the floor, meaning an RC 10 scale crawler of some sort, which was not recognizable to any of us. And some people even pointed it out in the comments section. And then the next morning, on Wednesday morning, in the Vanquish Products fan page, somebody took a screenshot and posted it up and asked what it was and this kind of stuff. And I'm like, damn, I know what that is. That's Ripper 2. I know. I'm really positive about that. So anyways, so I had a busy day that day. And I went back to look at the thread to see if there's any more comments in there to see how it was developing and what kind of information was coming about. And the post disappeared. Could not find it at all. So when I got home from work that day, I thought, well, I'll pull up the video and see if I can take my own screenshot off of it. And so I could have my own picture to look at. And the video was gone, which to me was lending more and more credence to that was an oopsie accidental leak of the Ripper. Well, Ripper 2 is where they're called. So it's been called Ripper 2 at its infancy and recognized as that up until lately. And lately they've been saying Ripper 2 doesn't exist, which to me is a very good sign, because to me that means they've finally dedicated a name to it, which they have not shared with any of us yet. And just so you know, I have no affiliation with Vanquish. I have no inside information. This is all speculation based on stuff that I've seen. And so this is just for fun, just to talk about it until we actually get a real view of the second Ripper. So, I mean, we have to call it that because we don't know the name yet. So until they release the name, we still have to call it Ripper 2. And that's why it's funny when we ask, we meaning other people that are interested in this product and the live streams and the feeds, they start saying Ripper 2 doesn't exist. You know, when we ask questions like, when's the next leak on Ripper 2? When's Ripper 2 coming out? And they say Ripper 2 doesn't exist. So anyways, I think it's just a cute, funny way for them to deal with it because they've named it. But anyways, so the one in the picture, I did get to see a good look at it before they erased everything or redacted or scrubbed the internet or whatever you want to call it. So let me give a little backstory on this. So early in the year, Instagram, Jim released something, some sort of picture or whatever on Instagram. And in the background, I think up on his computer, there was something hinting at the Funhaver Bronco, which is an Ultra 4 race truck. And it has some appearances that are related to the new Bronco from Ford. And some of the features are very identifiable. but that was scrubbed also. So I think that was an unintentional leak as well, because that disappeared rather quickly. Few people got to see that one. I personally did not get to see that one. This was all stuff I heard secondhand. So anyways, so as the summer progressed, or over through the spring and the summer, they started releasing they had signed a licensing agreement with Battleborn Wheels, and they were going to start producing the CR wheel, which they have now, which is a great looking wheel. I have a couple sets already. I really enjoy the looks of them. The nice looking wheel. And they also said that they were going to use the Battleborn X-Ray for the Ripper 2 project, and it'd be strictly for that. It wasn't going to be a mass produced for everybody wheel. It would be dedicated to the Ripper 2 project. Okay. And then later on, Jim also released the development of the rear axle for the Ripper 2. So where I'm going with all this is the Funhaver Bronco is a trailing arm, solid axle rear suspension, and it's an independent front suspension, and of course it's all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, or whatever it is. And Jim had also been releasing on his Instagram this year pictures of parts that are very unidentifiable. And the reason I say very unidentifiable is because when you look at Vanquish products, and if you've worked with them enough and built enough stuff, you've seen almost every part that they've made. If you've built any of their kits or whatever, owned any of their products, there's a lot of carryover from each model and stuff like that. And something like the Ripper projects, they may reproduce those projects in aluminum versus molded plastic, or, slight differences, but maybe similar design or almost identical. And so this year he's been posting parts that are very unique, not easily identifiable by looking at them. And where I'm going with all this is for them to make an independent front suspension. They've never done that for their own product before. They've never designed or done anything. So looking at some of those pieces, I'm starting to think those are some of the pieces for an independent front suspension. Because like I said, they don't look like axle pieces. They don't look like chassis pieces, because that's the biggest part about the Ripper is the chassis and the panels. Some of the stuff is carryover like axles, but for the Ripper 2, they're making their own axle for it, or a new version, which sort of looks like the Optic H10 axle for the rear. So just seeing stuff add up, and this is kind of where my brain's going with all this. So then when I saw the live stream and saw that one on the floor, and I saw those hood bulges, and I'm like, oh my God, that is the Bronco Hood. Definitely, that is the Bronco Hood. That confirms it in my mind, at least. Like I said, I got no privileged information here. This is all for fun and speculation. Hopefully to get a little banter going in the comments. Just something fun to talk about. So tell me what you guys think. So like I said, they're going to use, like they said, Battleborn X-Ray wheels for it. They did manufacture a rear axle for it, and that's stuff that they've been public with. They've been public with a lot of the intricate parts, which I cannot confirm their front suspension parts, but looking at them more and more, I start to add up in my head that, yeah, those could be. So, and they have yet to show any front axle design for the Ripper project or shared anything like that. So to me, it's just all adding up to, like I said, solid axle rear, independent front suspension, inspired by the Funhaver Bronco after seeing the leak of the one in the background at the live stream last week. Because the hoods are very identical. I'll post a picture up of the Funhaver Bronco hood, just so you know what I'm talking about. It's very identifiable. It wouldn't be confused with anything else. So to see those hood bulges, it's like, yep, they're doing it. Now I know for sure. But so I'm, like I said, still don't have privileged information on this. This is pure speculation. But, one thing they did talk about this year is they wanted to get it released by Proline by the Fire. They said they weren't, going to make that a hard deadline, but if they could, they would. And of course they were unable to, which whatever, it is what it is. We'd rather wait for a finished good product than have it rushed. And I think that was Jim's attitude too. It's just going to take as long as it takes. And one other thing they did release this week that doesn't really support that it's for sure the Funhaver, but he showed a vacuum formed plastic tray that they're making in-house, and it looks like for the anodizing process, or they did say it was for the anodizing process. And just to lend a little information on that. So anodizing, they've even talked about it on their videos that, whoa, got to cut that music off before we get in trouble for copyright problems. But anyways, so they had said that was for the anodizing process. So I've had parts anodized for my projects and stuff like that. And I have my own experiences with it. Anodizing is not consistent across the board. The way you get consistency with anodizing is to have one batch all done at once in the same vat, the same pot, the same tub, the same color at the same time. Because if you were to do, a part one day and do another part the other day, a day later, a week later, from the same vat of color, they might not match. There's a good chance they won't. Some colors are much more forgiving and they're easier to match. And that's why they've said in the past too, like they don't want to do green wheels because they just don't get the consistency. And people start complaining. I got this green wheel, it matches 3 of them and the 4th one doesn't match at all. They don't want to deal with that kind of stuff. So anyways, my point being that, so with the Ripper project, they have the cage, which is a big part of it, which will be anodized, and the chassis parts and potentially the axles and whatever else that's going with it. So what I think those trays are for is each individual Ripper, how it'll be packaged and boxed and sold to you as a consumer. They want all the parts that's going to be sold in one unit to be all colored at the same time so they match. Because the coloring starts to weaken, diluted, whatever over time. So the colors may not match perfectly. So I think this is a quality control thing on their part to help make sure that the colors match nicely for each one in the box. They may not match another one perfectly, another Ripper, but at least all the ones you get to assemble for yourself will all be very close, if not perfect. So that's my understanding with anodizing and my experience. So anyways, I think that's enough to talk about for now. Like I said, my speculation, Ford Bronco, fun haver, inspired, independent front suspension. We know it's a solid rear axle. We know it's going to be Battleborn X-ray wheels. What do you guys think? Put your suggestions in the comments, your thoughts, any speculation on your part from what you've witnessed, what you've seen. Like I said, this is just for fun, just to talk about it until we actually get a real view of one. It does sound like they do have, from what I've been hearing in the live streams, that everything is designed, everything is made. They are making final parts. They're, and making these vacuum form trays. That tells me they're ready to start assembling trays full of one full complete one complete assembly for one consumer to purchase. So you have one complete rig that's got matched colors. And what I could tell by some of the indentations in the tray was it looked like the skid. It looked like the halves of the chassis, maybe the upper portion sub cage, and maybe even for the spare tire area. It looked like maybe there was even a skid plate. On the VFD transmission, they have that kind of triangular shaped skid plate. There was one indentation in there that looked like maybe they're making an aluminum skid plate and using the VFD. I would assume they're using the VFD because that is their actual transmission that they designed versus the original Ripper used an axial base 3 gear. So I would just assume they would use more and more of their own design stuff because, this is something to showcase their work and showcase their product, and their abilities. And one thing they did mention, everybody's been talking about price. That keeps going round and round. They never talked about confirmed an exact price. It sounded like the goal was to be around $4,000. And maybe even, give or take a few bucks. And it did sound like it was also going to be like a roller because it'd have the wheels, the Battleborn X-rays, no electronics, but it would have axles, transmission, all that stuff. So it sounded like it'd be a complete rig minus the electronics, basically. So anyways, put in the comments what you think, all that kind of fun stuff. I'll try to flash a few pictures of the Bronco Fun Haver hood so you can see that to kind of show that, man, if you saw that, you would be like, man, there's no other vehicle that looks like that. And then all the other stuff that's been kind of leaked out inadvertently over the year. So thanks again for watching. Thank you to my subscribers. You guys are awesome. If you haven't subscribed yet and you're willing to do so, it'd be greatly appreciated. If you're subscribed already, if you can continue to support us by either like, commenting, sharing. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a great week. God bless. We'll talk to you soon.